I think by now we've all seen the video of the 5-year-old who opened up all of the Christmas presents on Christmas morning without anybody being awake. And this poor mama who has been preparing for Christmas morning, putting all of her energy into it, seeing that that moment that she dreamed of did not come to pass, and instead it was something dramatically different. And I'm thankful she shared that really raw and hurtful moment with us, because we can see that as moms, life is not always easy, and we can share that burden with her. Her feelings were completely valid, and in that moment she was crushed, and it was good that we could all support her. And as someone whose 8 of her 9 children are over 5 years old, I have my fair share of experience with crazy 5-year-olds. And I scroll the comments, and I feel like maybe some people haven't. So let's really dissect 5-year-olds. We call 0 to 6 the acid trip years. It's basically like taking care of your tiny drunk human. They really don't make a whole lot of rational decisions, and slowly as they get to 6 and 7 years old, they start to become sane. Except they're also very literal. It's a whole different stage. And the first thing we need to realize is that 5-year-olds are not adults. 5-year-olds are not teenagers. 5-year-olds are not 10-year-olds. 5-year-olds are 5-year-olds. And for their developmental age, sometimes these things make sense to them. Let's think of it from her view. She is 5 years old. This is going to be her 5th Christmas, which means that she doesn't remember maybe 1, maybe 2 of her Christmases. And all she's been hearing is, can't you wait to open your presents? I bet you're going to get so many things under that tree. I bet you can't wait to tear into them. That says something dramatically different to somebody who can only rationally remember a couple of Christmases. And we as adults are looking at this moment, having several decades worth of Christmases, understanding the order and how everything goes, and thinking about it from our perspective, going, who would do that? That's completely irrational. But if you have less collective experience, then maybe that makes sense this year. Thinking back on my 5-year-olds, probably half of mine would absolutely never do this, but the other half might have. And their brains think completely different than us. I would never think of putting on a cape, climbing to the back of my couch, putting a sword in my hand and jumping off of it, but I've seen many a 5-year-old do it. So it doesn't always have to be something like ADHD or her being on the spectrum. Sometimes it's just a kid being a kid. Another thing is, I saw a lot of people say my kid would never do that. You're right, your kids may never have done that. Maybe because they didn't ever think of doing that, but also maybe because they're fearful of what their consequences are on the daily basis, so they don't feel free to be themselves, and maybe they would if they were free to be themselves. Harsh punishments squash personalities, which may have saved this mama for Christmas, but in general, this child felt free to be herself, which actually shows a lot of emotional intelligence. Maybe not emotional intelligence, emotional health. And in that moment where she saw her mama's tears, she likely realized she messed up. And since parenting is about raising children and correcting children and not destroying children for who they are, that moment probably taught her a lot, and one will sear into her memory for a long time. She just put consequences and actions together in a way that I don't think would have happened otherwise. There's plenty of creative punishments. If she was truly being malicious, I would probably put all the presents up and she would get them one at a time as her behavior improved over the next few months. If she was innocent, I'd probably make her rewrap everybody else's gifts with me, and we'd have a do-over. But at the end of the day, a 5-year-old is 5-year-old, and 5-year-olds act like 5-year-olds, and we need to meet them there.